What's going on? If you're here right now, you are most likely an INFP moderator. Okay, this is specifically for the assertive type, more so because I can speak from experience as somebody who is an INFP from the Myers-Briggs 16 personality test. If this is you, stay tuned. Wait. Okay, welcome back. If you're here right now, and I know you are because you're watching, you're more likely than not an INFP. Hopefully an A at the end, the assertive type rather than the turbulent. There are two types, assertive and turbulent. Welcome to one of the 4% of people that happen to have this INFP as an assertive type in the Myers-Briggs 16 personality types. If you're anything like me, you've definitely come across the thought once in your lifetime that I'm a freaking alien. If you've ever felt like I'm a freaking alien, go ahead, raise your hand and say, I. And so let's just break down a couple things about the INFP so that you can see if this really is for you and if you relate. I want to talk about some of the struggles of the INFP. I want to talk about some of the light that we bring to the world and how necessary we are, especially to speak up and come out of that shell. Okay, so you're more than likely a highly articulate person. You more likely than not, have very meticulous habits, more so because of how well you know yourself. There are very few people in the world that know themselves as much as an INFP, myself included. We spend time for enjoyment and torture learning who we are. And the more we learn who we are, the more we learn other people, right? We're easily able to look at a person. You could look at a photo. I remember I was in college, I looked at a photos and I was like, that girl's being abused. And, it was an aggressive statement, but it actually ended up being true. And I start almost feeling like I got like these superpowers, right? And honestly, I'm a big believer in you do. You can check the rest of my channel. You'll see that I'm a huge believer in that. Like, we are creatures. We are beings of light. We have unique skills that are meant to be delivered to others. But back to the INFP, you are more of an introvert, you're more of an intuitive human being, you're really in touch with your feelings, and you're more of a perceptive person. You also are someone who prospects, right? You may have trouble, especially in relationships, always comparing, your ideal relationship versus what you may have in front of you. And I want to say from personal experience, like, don't put too much weight on that because it's ideal, right? And the definition of ideal is basically near perfection, so you're never going to find that. If you're lucky like myself, you might find somebody who feels more open when it comes to relationships. You may hear more terms like open relationships, right? Less restrictive on understanding, like, look, I may not be able to provide everything, but if we can keep this open channel of communication, I may be able to give. You figure it out, and maybe you find from someone else. You figure it out. You have to work on that on yourself with whoever you're with. But intuitive, you naturally know what's going on in life. You naturally can talk to a person, be in a crowd of people, which maybe you're more likely not gonna be in a crowd of people, and if you are, you find yourself very drained. Like, it's almost like you woke up, ball of storms, and you go into the wrong environment, or you stay on the phone for too long helping somebody because you're the mediator, right? From the Myers-Briggs, if you're going by this, and you're drained. You're like, what the heck? I had mad energy. Like, I got 8 hours of sleep. I ate well today. I'm on my vegan, vegetarian stuff, right? I don't have any toxins in my body, no substances. What's going on? How could I possibly fatigue right now? Yep, welcome to the life of an INFP-A. You are the definition of the human being or the spirit that can get drained. And, part of me believes that people know it, right? People know when we're around, when we walk in the room, we do have a certain presence around us. We have that open, warm heart where, you may often hear you have the biggest heart in the world. And if you're an INFP, especially A or T, the assertive or turbulent, you're going to be someone with the biggest heart in the world. And as a part of that, you may not be somebody that's also so willing to share your own feelings. It may be very tough, it may be locked up, it may be in a bind to share your own feelings, especially in death. And before I go forward about the struggles and stuff like that between an INFP-A, potentially a T for some of these things, I want to say that this is a personality test. This is not your human, your spirit, your mind, body, your financial, your social, your environmental test. This isn't a gamut of everything you are. I say this because before you leave here, I want you to know, like, to not take it so to heart, to not introspect too much on what this comes out to be. Because if you're anything like me, which you probably are if you're watching this video as an INFP, it can really become depressing. It could be becoming something that seems like, oh my God, and now I replay all these, past traumas, all these past, scenarios, situations in my life, and whether it's through relationships, whether it's for yourself, whether it's with your parents, whatever, and you just your world starts to collapse inward, and you go into pure hermit mode, right? You're just like, ooh, and you isolate. This is dangerous. Something we consistently do, especially when we're unaware about it. This is dangerous. This can be highly beneficial because it is a part of us. But there are proper ways to start to be intuitive, to get into your feelings, right? For starters, I'm right here right now and it's very peaceful. Maybe I'll show you a little, but you can see right now, just from the video, there's a lot of nature around me. Not a lot of people. I got some people walking. I'm in a public area still, but I'm essentially by myself. This is my bench. I'm holding this bench down. So go find some light. Because it's easy for us to just lock ourselves in our room, have it be dark all day long, and you start to overthink. This could be one of the pitfalls, one of the dangers, because you probably have a vast imagination, and if you do, you can have trouble with what's real, what's fantasy. Here's your imagination, which can be awesome, it can be great, it can help other people, but it could also bring you into a dark hole. And that's what I want to kind of warn you about. It could bring you into a vortex. So, it's something to be mindful of. But, to take it into the strengths for a little bit, to kind of make sure we bring you back up, you always are going to be wanted. No matter what, you're going to always be someone that's highly appreciative, highly appreciated. You're always going to be somebody who is, well respected, venerated even, like a deep respect, right? People are going to have veneration for you very frequently, because many people don't know themselves like you do. And that's a positive. And as a mediator, we always want to help, give, and we just have like this endless tank to give. But the problem is, it's not so endless, because when it's time for you to sit back with yourself, you're more likely than not struggling. You're more likely than not so drained that you may forget to eat, right? This is a common thing they speak about with the INFPs. You may forget to eat. You may forget to, put nutrition into your body, whether that's water or vitamins, etc. I'm talking about vitamins from food. I don't do that pharmaceutical stuff. And if you're INFP, you're probably somebody more who has strong ideals. This is a positive and a negative. It can be both, depending on where you want to be on that spectrum. Because throughout your entire life, you're going to go through the spectrum of emotions. Emotions that people will die before they ever, can I zoom in on this? Ever experience. And so that's important to remember, because this is one of the reasons why the world needs you. Because the world doesn't know themselves as well as you do, something like the coronavirus is going to help with the INFP. If you're really following behind this Myers-Briggs, Mediator, INFP Mediator, people need to know themselves now more than ever, which means the world needs you. And because your intuition, because your process of feeling is so in tune, I'm being honest. And it's very important for you to get out of that shell. It's very important for you to take some of those assessments that you have been drilling on yourself, because you're definitely harder on yourself than you are on other people. On other people, you're like a freaking cupcake, right? You're just like fluff in the middle at all times. if you look at me, and I have like a Scorpio ascending, so people see me as a Scorpio on the outside, so I can have like this mysterious look or so. I have this certain mystique about me that people feel maybe not, that I'm not as easily approachable, which obviously if you know as an INFP, that's not true, but I have some of these conflicting natures. And this is one of the things I want to say why you shouldn't put too much emphasis on it, because I did at a point, and it really drove me crazy for about 3 hours. I was like, I'm going mad. I'm also an Aries by nature, right? That's my sun sign. I also have Aries for my communication, so I'm very bold and like almost like this is where the assertive nature comes. Very bold and very audacious in my speech. I also have an Aries for my moon sign, which is how I receive people, which isn't necessarily as like, ooh, boom in your face, but the planets go into so many different things. Venus for love, Aquarius for challenge, and no, I'm an Aquarius for challenge, but the planet of challenge being Saturn. I think there's so many elements, right? You got your different behavioral patterns. You got your environmental influences. You have genetics potentially. Socioeconomic status. All these things are gonna help dictate who you are. So your personality is really very small on the spectrum, but yes, it's very important, and you as an INFP-A really want to know this, right? You really want to know this. So just don't put so much emphasis on this that it puts you in a mood of like just being in a depressive state, because nobody needs that, especially not you, and the world needs you, I promise you. And I'm being honest, the world needs you now more than ever with the type of pandemic happening, because people have so much time, and most people don't know how to spend time by themselves, right? For us, we spend too much time by ourselves, and we need to take more risk. That's one of the major things. Hola. That's one of the major things. I got a little dog right here. That's one of the major things that you need to do. We are here to kind of take more risk. Oh, wait. No problem. There goes the pup. One of the major things that you need to do is to go ahead and take more risk. As you take more risk, as you explore and experience novelties, aka just new things in your life, you're going to start realizing that all of that reflection that you did and you took in your alone time is what's making you so powerful. But you need to explore it. You need to have an opportunity, a platform to show yourself, to show how creative you are, to show how well thought your life plan is, your career plans, to show how your meticulous nature, your intuitive nature doesn't have to be a restriction, but it can actually be a catapult to bring you forward. So these are the positives that I want you to take out of an INFP if you're looking from the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities test. This is what I want to leave you with for now. If you have any comments, any questions, you can go ahead, you can drop that. I just want to say I thank you for admiring yourself enough, for trusting yourself enough to go ahead to seek more information. If you're watching this video, to seek help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's a big thing that I had as a weight on my head, on my shoulders, and just weighing me down. It was just unnecessary. And I could tell you that my life started to change drastically, especially with my partner, when I started to just talk. The biggest thing I had to say, my name is PernellBobby, to myself, and that I heard from a friend of mine is, Pernell, what would you tell somebody else? Why don't you take your own advice? And then I was like, Pernell, what would you do for somebody else in this scenario? And can you please do that for yourself? That's the biggest thing I want to have you take away from this, because you know everything, right? Like, you are literally the keeper of secrets of the universe. You're the universal keeper of secrets, right? I saw this one time and I was like, ooh, that makes a lot of sense, because all we do is study. All we do is learn. We're so intellectual that many times people don't even know we're as intellectual as we are, because we're so reserved. We're so in our own head sometimes, and we don't get out, that we're gonna go 6 feet under, and our genius and all the wealth and influence is gonna go with it. And I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about spiritual wealth. I'm talking about spiritual influence, right? So that's all encompassing. If you're an INFP-A or T, I hope you found value from this. Please subscribe, because this is my creative channel. This is how I want to get my voice out there. All right? Okay? Hit it. Hit the subscribe. Thank you for checking in. My one question for you is, what is the number one thing that you're grateful for today? Right now.